It's the Morning Star Drive 117.8. You soaring up with sky, now's the time, don't delay. I'm sitting in my ride and it's time to fly. So let's realign, just listen and fill your mind.
I'm burning with desire and the passion. Nobody can stop me when I'm like this. I got my head in the zone, you know. I'm on the Morning Star Drive, you know.
Hey guys, how's it going? It's Monday, August 16th, and this is the Morning Star Drive on 117.8. We're on YouTube, so make sure to subscribe, follow us on SoundCloud, and support us on Patreon. So on this fabulous Monday, we'll get some coronavirus updates, current news going on around the world, the Sunday sermon, the message about know God's purpose of creation first and live fulfilling it, and finally, the new segment, Korean on the Go with Preston Lewis. So, how are you guys doing? It is Monday again. The weekend is over. I'm sure you guys are able to enjoy, relax, and just recharge yourself for another amazing week filled with stories we're going to make together with the Holy Trinity. For me, this is like my last 10 days in Asia, I guess, or Southeast Asia, because I'll be leaving on the 26th, and that will be my final day. I'll be taken off to go over to Canada and America, so super grateful and happy. It's a great message, guys. What kind of message can we not be thankful about when it's all about love, right? It was a message about love, and Sunseam mastered that sermon. So I'm sure a lot of you received a lot of power, strength, and felt the love from God during that time. It's a great week. We can restart another amazing week together with the Lord. So thank you for joining us here on the Morning Star Drive. So please like and comment below. Want to hear how you guys are doing. Make your requests, questions, and what you guys think about these segments that are going on. So Espresso with Sky channel, we got our first video up, brand new style, new editing, new everything else. I'm super happy about this. New direction, very, very spiritual. First video was about how long should our prayers be, of course, and if you watch that, you'll understand how long it should be. But from now on, it's all spiritual content, faith, life, God, the Bible. So your newcomers can watch and listen. You can listen and learn how to, explain certain things to newcomers too. Just a logical and reasonable way of talking to newcomers. So I hope you guys are starting to enjoy that. That first video went really, really well. Yesterday was a Sunday edition. We interviewed Hiro from Japan via Australia. Great interview. Really thankful to him for doing it. And he is going to be, I'm very sure what God's going to do in his life. I really, really pray that he becomes a professional basketball player. We need one in Providence too. So go ahead, check out the Sunday edition this week. Also, big shout outs. Tabiel in Hawaii, Idris in Malaysia, and Grace in Australia for just supporting us on Patreon, for believing and supporting this channel. I'm super grateful for everyone who's doing it. So if you want to support us too, check out the Patreon link in the description. And if you're on SoundCloud, click the blue button on the homepage. Patreon is a crowdfunding site that you can support the Morning Star Drive at just $3 a month. Way better and cheaper than Netflix. Yes, it is. But I'm going to be honest with you, the special effects and stuff, I don't have any like Netflix does, and I don't have the editing tools like they do either. But the content is better, right? So right now we have lecture training videos on the site and the Monday Bible studies and word studies, so go ahead and check that out. Also, Monday Open Bible Studies lecture, again, it's going to be tonight. It'll be posted on Patreon tomorrow. I'll be doing it 2 more times here in Malaysia, and I'll probably start it again over there in America too, but you guys will be able to check it out on the Morning Star Drive. Not the Morning Star Drive. You'll be able to check it out on the Patreon link. All right, so let's move on to today's feature arts of the day, which is Diawings from Korea. That is the girl group over there, a Providence girl group. All their songs come from like Sunseam's poems and inspirations and messages. This first one is called Troublemaker. I hope you guys will really enjoy this. Also PGY from the Paper Music Associates in Korea. Our second song is going to be Dr. Rain. And last but not least, we have Renee live from Taiwan, Head Above Water. That's a cover from Avril Lavigne. And also congratulations to Renee. She just, she got blessed. So I saw her on Instagram. I just talked to her yesterday. Super thankful. She just got registered with the government, so she's now officially married. But congratulations to her and all of you who are getting married and being blessed. All right, guys, so let's get into this music. Hope you guys are praying well. And if you're not, don't worry about it. We have to just push ourselves through the love that we get from God. And I hope that you guys will put in a little bit of a prayer for all these member artists from around the world.
예상과 빗나간 현실이 의도와 달랐던 실수가 날 집어삼킬까봐 가진 걸 빼앗아 갈까봐 마음을 닫고 눈을 감고 거짓된 주문을 걸면서 새롭게 되었다고 비참한 착각들을 하지.
잠깐만 눈 감아줘 babe 어차피 시간이 흐르면 사라지겠지 찜찜해도 make it 거짓 묻어둘 거짓 Can't take it easy
눈을 감고서 귀를 닫고서 없었던 척 모르는 척 It will be alright
Don't hide in bubble We're in trouble It's okay We are all troublemakers 괜찮은 척하지마 babe 안 괜찮은 게 맞으니까 속지마 드라마 아닌 현실이야
바람을 따라 내 마음도 따라 진실을 바라보기를 보이진 않지만 보여지는 내 속안해진 짤보기를 Stop run away 너를 너에게 왜 넉넉넉하게 talk to yourself 하늘까지 진심만 있다 해도 강하게 피어나리
눈을 감고서 귀를 닫고서 없었던 척 모르는 척 It will be alright
Don't hide in bubble We're in trouble It's okay We are all troublemaker
진실되게 현실을 마주하길 실수를 마주하는 용기를 갖길
괜찮아 걱정은 마 걸어가는 과정이니까 It's okay we are all troublemaker
Gotta keep the calm before the storm. I don't want less, I don't want more. But by the windows and the doors, to keep me safe, to keep me warm. Yeah, my life is what I'm fighting for. Can't part the sea, can't reach the shore. And my voice becomes the driving force. I won't let this pull me overboard. God, keep my head above water, don't let me drown. It gets harder, I'll meet you there at the altar as I fall down to my knees. Don't let me drown, drown, drown. Don't let me drown. So pull me up from down below, 'cause I'm underneath the undertow. Come dry me off and hold me close. I need you now, I need you most. God, keep my head above water, don't let me drown. It gets harder, I'll meet you there at the altar as I fall down to my knees. Don't let me drown, drown, drown. Don't let me drown. Don't let me drown, drown, drown. Keep my head above water, above water. And I can sing in the stormy weather, and I can sing to keep it all together, and I can swim in the ocean like this forever, and I can breathe. God, keep my head above water, I lose my breath at the bottom, come rescue me. I'll be waiting, I'm too young to fall asleep. God, keep my head above water, don't let me drown. It gets harder, I'll meet you there at the altar as I fall down to my knees. Don't let me drown, drown, drown. Don't let me drown. Don't let me drown, drown, drown. Keep my head above water, above water.
And there you go. That is Renee live from Taiwan with Head Above Water. That's a cover from Avril Lavigne, of course, Canadian. Before that, PGY from the Paper Music Associates in Korea with Dr. Rain. And of course, the feature artist of the day was Dio Wings from Korea with Troublemaker. All right, so let's get into news. What happened over the weekend? We'll start with the coronavirus updates. 207.5 million cases with 4.36 million deaths around the globe. And that mortality rate has dropped to 2.1%, which is great news. Top 5 countries going by daily infection rates and daily death rates. We have the US, 71,000 cases with 258 deaths. India, 43,000 cases, 519 deaths. Brazil, 31,000 cases, 919 deaths, which is good news. They're under 1,000 in a day now. Iran, 29,000 cases, 466 deaths. And then France, 29,000 cases with only 93 deaths in a single day. Over here, Southeast Asia, Indonesia's on top, 28,000 cases in a day with the world's largest daily death rate, which is 1,270 deaths. Thailand, 22,000 cases, 217 deaths. And Malaysia, where I'm at right now for about another 10 days, 20,000 cases with 260 deaths. So let's take a look at top 3 news going on around the world. What is going on? Right, let's take a look at top 3 news. We're going to start with it's some pretty heavy, I guess what you'd say, like natural disaster judgments over the weekend. We're going to start off with Haiti. Okay, Haiti was struck by a deadly 7.2 magnitude earthquake over the weekend. Powerful earthquake struck the Caribbean nation of Haiti, killing at least 304 people and injuring more than 1,800. The 7.2 magnitude quake hit the west of the country on Saturday morning, toppling and damaging buildings, including churches and hotels. The Prime Minister said there was extensive damage and declared a month-long state of emergency. Haiti is still recovering from a devastating 2010 earthquake. The epicenter of Saturday's quake was about 12 kilometers from the town of St. Louis du Sud, the U.S. Geological Survey said, and the tremor was felt in the densely populated capital of Port-au-Prince, some 125 kilometers away. And in neighboring countries, U.S. President Joe Biden authorized an immediate U.S. response to help the country and said U.S. aid would work to support efforts to assess the damage and assist efforts to recover those who were injured and those who must now rebuild. In what is already a challenging time for the people of Haiti, the Prime Minister really saddened by the devastating earthquake. Now, the USGS earlier warned that the earthquake could result in thousands of fatalities and injuries, and it also said at least six aftershocks had been felt in the region, including one measuring 5.1. Now, for those of you who don't know or remember, the 2010 earthquake in Haiti killed more than 200,000 people and caused extensive damage to infrastructure and the economy. And Saturday's earthquake comes amid a political crisis in the country following the assassination of its president last month. Then we move over to Japan. What's happening there? Nearly 2 million residents told to seek shelter because homes are amid heavy rainfall in parts of Japan. The highest level rain warnings have been issued in a number of prefectures, including Fukuoka and Hiroshima. One woman has died and her husband and daughter are missing after a landslide destroyed 2 homes in Nagasaki Prefecture, and more than 150 troops, police, and firefighters have been sent to help with rescue operations in the area. Now, the west of the country is worst affected, but the west of the country is worst affected, but heavy downpours are expected across the country in coming days. In Saga Prefecture, a hospital evacuated patients to its upper floors on Saturday after the nearby Rokaku River overflowed and flooded the building. Now, Kyodo News Agency reported, citing local authorities, in total, non-compulsory evacuation warnings are now in place for more than 1.8 million people across 7 prefectures, according to Japanese broadcaster NHK. Now, Yushi Adachi from Japan's meteorological agency described the current rainfall as unprecedented. Local television footage showed submerged roads. Rivers in Saga and Fukuoka have overflowed with water levels still rising, and local media reports said this. Now, an official in Kumamoto, southwestern Japan, said a 76-year-old man was missing after trying to secure his fishing boat, and the flooding comes just weeks after heavy rain caused landslides and prompted rivers to burst their banks, killing dozens. So that Japan is floods, right? We got floods and heavy rainfall. Last but not least, we have more floods going on in Turkey. So the death toll near the Black Sea rises to at least 40 now. A huge search and rescue operation is underway in northern Turkey after flash floods along the Black Sea coast killed at least 40 people. The Kastamonu province is the worst hit area. Apartment buildings in the town of Bozkurt were destroyed when the Ezine River burst its banks. Now, this month, Turkey has also had to battle huge wildfires in the south. 8 people died when a firefighting plane crashed into Adana on Saturday just before it was due to land, and 5 Russian servicemen and 3 Turkish citizens were on board the aircraft, Interfax agency reported. Now, those fires, which are now under control, forced thousands of locals and tourists to flee Marmaris and surrounding areas. 8 people died and more than 100,000 hectares of vegetation was devastated. Now, the floods, though, triggered by torrential rain, caused some buildings to collapse, smashed bridges, clogged streets, and wrecked cars and cut power supplies. President Erdogan visited Kastamonu on Friday and attended a funeral for some of the flooding victims. And Mr. Erdogan's government has faced criticism for its handling of Turkey's recent national disasters. And in the flooded areas, helicopters plucked some people from rooftops while others were rescued by boat. And more than 1,700 people have been evacuated, and as many as 330 villages are without electricity. Now, Turkey's latest disaster came in the week that a major UN report warned of more extreme weather events because of human-induced global warming. Flash floods and severe heat waves are afflicting much of Europe this summer. Now, mountainous areas along Turkey's Black Sea coast are prone to flooding in the summer, but Interior Minister Süleyman Soylu said on a visit to the area on Thursday that this is the worst flood disaster he has ever seen. And in neighboring Greece, the authorities say widespread wildfires are more controllable now since much-needed rainfall came in the past 48 hours. So it's kind of like a blessing and a curse at the same time. It's getting, it's calming down the fires with all this massive rain coming in, but it's also causing floods too. So that's the top 3 news going on around the world over the weekend, and we're going to go into sporting news. We're going to start off with the NBA and the LA Clippers. The last key re-signing of free agency was the LA Clippers re-signing Kawhi Leonard to a 4-year, $176.3 million max deal. Kawhi Leonard will remain with LA Clippers long-term after re-signing with the team Thursday on a 4-year, $176.3 million max contract, which comes to like what? That's like that's like $44 million a year pretty much. And the deal includes a player option in the 4th year. Now, Leonard had previously declined his player option for $36 million the upcoming season to become a free agent. In soccer news, yes, Lionel Messi, his first game. However, he wasn't ready and wasn't fit for it yet. So Messi watches on as PSG, his new team, make hard work of beating Strasbourg. Lionel Messi watched on from the stands as Paris Saint-Germain made hard work of beating Strasbourg 4-2 in League One on Saturday to continue their winning start to the new season. And he's not yet fully fit. Messi, along with Neymar and Donnarumma and Sergio Ramos, did not make the match squad, but saw his new club take an early lead through Mauro Icardi at Parc des Princes. In NFL news, we have the preseason going on right now. We get to see these new high draft picks, especially the quarterbacks. Chicago Bears beat the Miami Dolphins 20-13. That was Justin Fields and Tua Tagovailoa. And the standout performer was obviously Bears QB Justin Fields. 142 passing yards, 1 touchdown, 33 rushing yards, and 1 rushing touchdown. Looked immaculate in his first preseason start. Second game was Cleveland Browns versus Jacksonville Jaguars. 23-13 Cleveland wins. And this was the debut for Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence, a number 1 draft pick. Not exactly a dynamic debut. He lost 23-13. Lawrence got sacked, fumbled on his first snap, failed to lead the offense to any points in 2 drives, and held the ball a bit too long at times. But he also made several good throws, including a 35-yarder to Marvin Jones on a 3rd down. So that is the sporting news going on around the world. Well, not in the world, that's like in America, but that's like the major news going on right now. So what does that mean, guys? Now that the worldly news is over, it's time for some praise and worship. It is the golden time to prepare our hearts for the word study for today. So what are we going to sing? Guess what? We're going to do that same song that Sunseam did yesterday. It's going to be Ideal World 2 and then Connection, and then we'll end things off and break it down with the Path of Love. So as one body of the Morning Star Drive, let's spend this time giving praise, honor, and glory to the Holy Trinity.
Let's all run, Providence calls, history awaits. Let us rise up and shine heaven's truth. Now let us go to the place where our Lord reigns, there we will live, valuably as gold. We can fulfill the hope of the next 1,000 years. Hey, young people, wake up and realize. Hey, young people, hurry, come on. You are precious, young people of today. You're shining bright, young people of today. Young people come, young people come. It's the world ruled by the Lord, the new history will fulfill God's purpose for mankind. Now the words being proclaimed by our Lord here in this place. History is made here in Providence. The ideal world. the world ruled by the Lord, the new history will fulfill God's purpose for mankind. Now the words being proclaimed by your Lord here in this place. History is made here in Providence, the ideal world. Now the words being proclaimed by your Lord here in this place. History is made here in Providence, the ideal world. This is Providence, the ideal world. Two people may connect just by brushing by. But if skin brushes skin, will they just merely connect? That will make them turn into lovers. If clothing brushes clothes, it could last for 10 years. But if it's skin to skin, 100 years. If it's our hearts that touch them together, we should live for 1,000 years. Two people may connect just by brushing by. But if skin brushes skin, will they just merely connect? That will make them turn into lovers. If clothing brushes clothes, it could last for 10 years. But if it's skin to skin, 100 years. If it's our hearts that touch them together, we should live for 1,000 years. So then, if we are brushed by God, how many years should we remain by His side, living together? Years aren't enough to measure. We must live forever, tied to each other, always together forever. We'll live in perfect
Since I have come, you've come as well. And today we become one with God, one with the Spirit. We unite on this path of love we must walk. now and for all eternity. This path will never change. Hear the word flows without end. Proudly we go on, always for providence. Now and always hope will shine brighter than the sun. This eternal love and hope forever shines bright. Finally, this love of ours fulfilled God's will at last. The Lord our God's promises will not fail, they will stand without change, now and for all eternity. Finally, this love of ours fulfilled God's will at last. The Lord our God's promises will not fail, they will stand without change, now and for all eternity. Since I have come, you've come as well, and today we become one with God, one with the Spirit. We unite on this path of love. We must walk now and for all
Oh, and there it is, that deep Shimjonic song that is The Path of Love. Before that was Connection, and of course that first song from the Sunday Sunsteam's Conducting, that is Ideal World 2. And I did want to talk about the conducting because that message there was the big one for me. Yeah, let's get into the word study for the Sunday message, but I'm not going to start with the Sunday message. I'm going to start with the conducting message, right? And that was something that really hit me, and I really loved the message that he gave before we sang Ideal World 2. Yeah, it was really cool. I don't know if you guys didn't hear the Korean. It was in Korean, and of course, this is like Ideal World 2, but he said it in English. He says he said in Korean, he said Ideal World, and then he says 2 in English. So I don't know. For me, I found it quite funny. But Sunsteam said that the youth is where everything, the ideal world is going to happen, right? Now, it doesn't mean that the old people are disregarded. It just means that the ideal world should be done when we're young, right? We shouldn't have to wait all the way until we're 50 and 60 for the ideal world to come. We should be able to enjoy it when we're young. And he says it's the youth that needs to come to challenge for the new history, and the young people are the ones that need to do it. And he said it's the same as sperm meeting the egg. When you do it in your youth, then life begins. It's almost the same as like having babies. To make life, you shouldn't be waiting till you're 60, 70 to have a baby. You do it in your youth, in your prime, right? And once you can do that, then it creates and gives birth to a new history. So it's the young people that fulfill God's purpose. Abraham, David, Jesus, Solomon, all the prophets, all of them were called at such a young age. And we have to realize too, even it made me think a lot more deeply about myself also, is as I'm growing to an older age, I can't do the same things as I did before. And I don't have the same passion and I'm not sure if this is the right word to use, but that naivety, right? That being a little bit naive. Right? That I'm not, because you get older and you think more like, oh no, I need money. Oh, I need this. But when you're young, you don't think about those things. You just run. And that's something that you kind of need, because it's the youth where God says go and you go, and the older you get, the more you start thinking deeper about it. But it's that young group that we need to help raise more than anything else. So I hope it's something that we'll all be able to think more carefully, especially, for those of you who are getting to my age, over 40, getting towards 50 and 60, we really, really need to support and make sure that this young generation grows and becomes an amazing group. All right. So let's get into the Sunday message itself. Like that in itself already was enough message for me, but I was like, wow. Then we're going to the message about the purpose of creation, and of course, we all know what the purpose of creation. And today's message was Sunsim's it's one of those, what do you call the masterpiece sermons, because it's about love, and Sunsim's mastered that lesson. But we start off with the purpose of creation. He says we need to fulfill the purpose of creation first, and then our will be fulfilled, because your will is contained in God's will. So all we need to do is focus on God's will, because we're in there too. And I think this makes a lot more sense to me, because as Sunsim said in the message, everything has a purpose no matter what. God created everything with some type of purpose, which means that even us, we're not going to just do it for the sake of doing it. There's got to be something in it for us. And this is not in a selfish way. It's just there's purpose to everything. Everyone has one. It's not a selfish thing. It's just the way life is. Because we live in our own life, there is something that we want also. There's a purpose. We want to be happy. We want to fulfill our dreams or wishes or whatever it is. And if our will is contained in God's will, then fulfilling God's will is like actually fulfilling your own. And the great thing is sometimes when it comes to doing our own will, we just don't have the power to take action, right? But the great thing about the message it said that God's word gives you the power to take action. And that's more inspiring, because sometimes we just don't have the power to do it. But imagine we focus on God's will, allow God's will to happen, then what happens? Then we will be able to fulfill God's will and fulfill ours, and we get the power to do it too. So that was something that I really thought was pertinent. It was kind of logically filling in my mind too. Last week's message, something mentioned about being clean, right? It says you need to be clean so we can fulfill the purpose. Now, everyone has our own individual purposes, as much as we have the great purpose of creation that was fulfilled at the time of the rapture. But without purpose, Sunsim said it on the money. It is not fun to run without purpose. If there's no reason to, there's nothing that's for me. Like if it's just like, hey, why are you running? Oh, for the glory of providence. But there's got to be something in it for you too, right? And this is not a selfish thing. No, there's something for you. God is someone that if we really, really think about it, God blesses those, right? And everyone gets according to what they do. So God will bless us. That's not the reason, the purpose for it. But it's one of those things that gives us that motivation to do it too, right? And of course, the ultimate motivation is love, of course. And the most important thing that we're trying to get in life, it starts with, we need to be saved. Because that's the thing that's like, hey, I'm about to die. We need to be saved. The most important thing that we have in life, and when you think about this at the very, very large macro level, it is salvation, right? We need to live on. Like, what's the point of doing anything if we're not saved? If we can't even live any further, right? So we have to believe to receive that salvation. But I like this point here is salvation is not just a one-time thing. Oh, I'm saved, I'm done. And this is what happens in the former faith. I'm saved, I'm done, let me do whatever I want now because I've got that number one thing down. But we have to realize salvation is love, right? And love is an all-time, every time, all moment thing, not just a one-time thing. It's like a doctor. It's not like we only need a doctor once. We need every time we're sick. Every time we have a disease, whatever it is, we always need a doctor, right? It's like food, 2, 3, 5, 7 times a day. And don't feel bad, right? Why? Because eating well is God's blessing. Hallelujah. But Sunsim did put, he did say, but if you run really hard, then eat as much as you want if you're running really hard. So I'm just like, all right, I got to run harder. I can eat as much as I want. I like this point here too because I'm someone who is a preacher. And Sunsim said that if you preach really well, how do you know? Because the word will go into people's hearts quickly, like in a minute. So that's why we need to have the ability to preach well, but not just that. Sunsim said you need to have the backing of God, the Holy Spirit, the Holy Son, right? And the Lord. We need that backing. Or else, even if we preach well, the words won't go into their hearts quickly, right? So that's something that I thought was really important for us to understand too. It's not just about preaching well, but making sure that we are connected and that God is speaking through us more than anything else, right? Now, we're going into the purpose of creation or purpose itself, right? So everything was created with purpose, right? There has to be a reason for something. God will not create or do anything without a reason to do it. And it's the same thing with us. Human beings too. There's no reason. If there's no reason, we're not going to do it, right? That's why when people do things, it's kind of weird if someone says, oh, no reason. It doesn't really make sense because everyone does things for a reason. Absolutely, there is a reason to do everything. And that's something that I really think that we have to think about here is, why are we doing it? And if anyone says there's no reason, then you know they're lying. Right? Because, well, they may not know their reason, but there is a reason. Even people tapping their fingers, why tapping your fingers, I don't know, but sometimes it's just because they're anxious, they're nervous, or something along that line. The second point that I thought was really interesting was God takes 90% and we have the 10%, right? So we learned that in predestination. He says God owns 90%. And this, what he said here reminded me of 2012. He says, God owns 90%. So even if the world turns upside down 12 times, God is still in control. And the last time I heard that word of God, of the earth or the world turning upside down, was in 2012 when everyone thought it was the end of the world. December 2012, the movie came out. The Mayans had a calendar saying that, oh, after 6,000 years, boom, it's going to turn upside down. And the interesting thing is, what Sunsim was saying, that even if it turns over 12 times, God is in control. He's still in control. He's 90% is his, right? But he also said, but that also means he has to do that much more. So it's really refreshing to know that, even with like climate change, all these things happening, Sunsi talked about this a long time ago too. So he talked about climate change and said, don't worry, the world's not going to end. It's not going to end. So no one has to worry about the world ending. We're all going to die. No, God has to give permission for that type of thing to happen. He says, don't worry about that. The earth is so big that it has so many measures to counteract all the different things that are happening and going on. And these things that are happening is not because of human beings. It's a natural thing that happens more than anything else. So it's something that kind of comforts our hearts. We just got to pray. And something eventually said that if something gets really bad, either the earth will fix itself or God will inspire human beings to find an answer. So that is something that I think that is a really comforting thing to know, as long as we trust and hope all in God, right? So this thing is something that I think that a lot of us, especially during the pandemic, we haven't done well in a lot of different things, but I thought it was something that was very refreshing and comforting to hear. It says, for us as human beings, our hearts flip so many times. We like God, we don't like God, we pray and that we don't. Like so many times our heart flips back and forth and back and forth. But Sunsim said that God understands us so well and has been raising people for so long. He understands that this stuff happens, right? He's not going to get pissed off or mad or angry at you, right? And this is why, because he understands human beings so well, this is why he can understand us and be so patient with us, even when our hearts flip back and forth. And that was really comforting. I'm just like, wow, that's how loving God really is. He is truly, truly that loving more than anything else. So I hope that is something that we can keep put in our hearts is we're humans. We're still, we're very fallible. We're very temporary. Our hearts sometimes, like whether we get hangry and tired and we just like snapping at each other, we need to be like God and understand what we all go through. And I hope it's something that we can do for each other too. It's not easy because, we can imagine both of us, like you and the other person are both in a bad condition at the same time. It makes things even worse. Oh, what about this? This was a really cool one. It says, don't be caught up with what people say, but be caught up in what God says. And then he says, and even if God rebukes you and he says he's going to kill you or whatever it is, right? It doesn't mean it's over. He says, God wants people who do things until the end, never gives up, has that powerful mentality that even if God says it's over, right? And this is after Sansim just said, focus on be caught up in what God says. He says, yeah, even if he says that, go to the Holy Spirit. And that totally reminds us so many times where we're just crushed by Sansim at the Lord's church when we were there. And then we would report to Pastor Joan. It was like, Pastor Joan, oh, we feel so bad. And then she would talk to Sansim and things would blow over. And it was just like, wow. And it wasn't something like, ooh, we got to go to Pastor Joan now. No, it wasn't that she's more powerful. It's none of these things. It was having that mentality of doing things to the end. It wasn't the mentality of escaping judgment. It wasn't the mentality of like, oh, well, if then now I don't have to talk to Sunstein. I can just talk to Pastor Joan. It was nothing like that. We were scared for our lives, like, oh my gosh. And then we're like, hey, Pastor Joan, we don't know how to talk to Sunstein, but we want things to go well again. And we did this, and yes, we made this mistakes. Please, can you help? And she would just... Man, that's what it reminded me of. And it's something that I think that we have to have that mentality forever. There's no such thing as doom and gloom. No such thing. And we have to be those that even if God says to us, you're done, you're over, we need to go then to the Holy Spirit. And if she says it, then we go to the Holy Son, Lord. And if they say it, then you go to Son Stephen. And then if he said it, then you go to Pastor Joan, right? We have so many different ways to do things until the end. We really, really do, right? There's a couple of times in this message I was confused. Like I was going, oh, why is God saying that? But some seems like saying, I haven't even started the message. This is just God telling you what to say right now. God and the Holy Spirit tell me this stuff. I was like, what? And I was like, oh, no wonder. I was like, I was trying to catch what was going on, and I felt like, what's this saying? And then everything came together at the end. But there's one part where all of a sudden, something just like, bees take pollen into a hive, and then you put in storage, and it needs time to become sweet honey. I'm like, what are we talking about here? What's the context of this? And then he says, like, people need time to grow and ripen. And then Adam and Eve didn't wait. I was like, oh, okay, that's making a little bit more sense. And it was confusing a little bit because there was so much jumping around in the beginning. But it almost reminds me of when you're not at the level of God, you can't catch like what those things are being said. You're like, whoa, why is he saying? And then you have to wait and everything catches up later in time. But that's how fast Sunstein's mind is. And it's like, we need a time to grow, a time to ripen, and a time to sweeten. And says those are 3 stages that, these fruits go through, or honey, or all things in life. And he says it's the same thing with the Old Testament, New Testament, complete Testament. We need all 3 stages, and we're at the stage of sweetening right now before it comes out perfectly and ready to go. And then, of course, I really like this because I'm a very logical, reasonable person. And Sunstein said, some people say that there's no complete testament. And then he's like, but then why would Revelations 20 verse 4 say that we will reign with Christ for 1,000 years? That's a completely different time than the New Testament, because New Testament, it's 2,000 years already. The reign of 1,000 years, it doesn't make any sense. It's a new time more than anything else. So I was like, oh, that makes total sense. That's something I can use in the future also. And then he's like, when it comes to the time, like we're all talking about the purpose, right? But he's like, the ultimate thing he talked about at the very end of it, the last third of the message was all love. Love God and love the one that God loves. Just like at Jesus' time, at Moses' time, Noah's time, Abraham's time, people don't know how valuable it is to fulfill the purpose of creation, that main purpose more than anything else. If you fulfill this one thing, then God gives you everything. And this, I was like, wait a second. We did it in 2015. We've done it. He's like, you don't understand what you just did in 2050, you have no idea. And we didn't, because if we did, we would have been in Wonmyeongdong for that time. If we understood, we would have been there, but we weren't, right? We completely didn't understand what it meant to fulfill that main purpose of creation. And God is so ecstatic and happy, but it's weird because everyone else isn't as happy as him. They don't realize how great of a thing that we did. We fulfilled that one thing, and that's why we're being blessed, unimaginably blessed, unimaginably, right? And this is why we have to understand we got to love God, love the one that he loves, and we have to be the ones that are not thinking about, oh, what do I want? Like Sunseem said, I want to grow an orchard. I want to raise animals to eat. You know, I was the one reading elementary books to study to become a civil servant. You know, he's like, it was so funny to God, they were laughing at Sunseem. Right? Because why are you learning from elementary books? And he learned and he realized only through God, only through the one who is the God of wisdom and knowledge will he be able to gain and do even greater things, right? He started to learn from the Bible from that point on, and then he continued, right? He continued to work, right? And he wanted to do the work that Jesus was doing more than anything else, the Messiah, the one who came to save the world. And he wanted to do the same job, the same mission. Everything, this purpose of creation, this main purpose, is all about love, right? It's not about hope. It's not about faith, about healing or power, or not even the words. It's about love. All of it is about love. Love God and the one that he has sent to the point that God is satisfied. And then God will treat you as a great person. That's the level we need to get to. We really do. We have to get to that level. Right? Love is so great. How powerful and how great is love? It is so powerful and great. It is so amazing that if you love God, you will live forever. That's how crazy it is. That's how great it is. The purpose of creation is the core, right? What is the core of the purpose of creation? Is loving God. But people have no idea how great it is, right? How great is it? Well, if you don't have love, then you separate. Even when it comes to like raising trees or whatever it is, even a tree or a flower, it's all about love. Because what is love? Love is attention. Love is taking care of people. Love is attending in all situations. And that's what even a tree needs. A tree needs love to grow, or else it just grows any way it does. What about that question? What's the greatest miracle of this time period? And it's like, seeing me. And I was like, of course, right? So it's like those verses Jesus said. He's like, blessed are those that see and hear. When everyone else in the past, they died and they're all waiting for this very time. We are living in the greatest time. We not only fulfilled the purpose of creation like 6 years ago, everyone. 6 years ago. We'll have a 7th anniversary next year. But we are living in the greatest time ever. And, oh gosh, the blessing is just unimaginably crazy. Why? Because on top of that, we're raptured. We go to the golden city. All of that was just gained by love. How do we get missions? God entrusts people that love. Loving God, loving the one that God loves is the same as an egg and sperm meeting. And that is a history of life that begins with loving God and loving the one God loves. God's history is happening right now. There's not even a delay. It's happening right now. We've already fulfilled the major part, and now we're just doing the great work of the purpose of creation is done. Just like last week, Sunseem said, the draining the water, cleaning everything, that's done. We just have the small things, exact same thing. Main purpose of creation, rapture, done. What's left is the small things that we need to figure out. It's only small things from now on, guys. We are living in the greatest life of God. And I hope that's something that we can realize from this Sunday message. It is such a powerful message. And I hope it's something that, we can realize more and more from this week's message. I can't wait till the Tuesday message when it goes a little bit deeper into it too. Okay? So that is the word study for today. I hope it's something that really inspired you. I was inspired by this week's message, and going over it right now, even more inspired too. All right, so that means that is the word study, which means we're going into the song of choice for today. And of course, we go into foreign every Mondays. We're going to go into songs by people doing covers and foreigners too. And this one is by a Filipino and a Korean doing a duet together. This is Wonji from Korea and then Daryl Ong from the Philippines. They have this duet called My Destiny, which is great because our destiny was to fulfill the great purpose of creation, and we did it. Right, and this song is originally from Jim Brickman, a duet done. Jim Brickman was also the person that did the song. I think he's the one that even wrote the song "My Valentine," which I love that song. But either way, this is Daryl Ong and Wonji, Philippines and Korea doing a duet together, and this song is "My Destiny."
What if I never knew? What if I never found you? I'd never have this feeling in my heart.
How did this come to be? I don't know how you found me, but from the moment I saw you, deep inside my heart I knew, baby, you're my destiny. You and I were meant to be. With all my heart and soul,
I give my love to head and home.
and as far as I can see, you were always meant to be my destiny. I wanted someone like you, someone that I can hold on to and give my love until the end of time.
But forever was just a word,
Just a word.
something I'd only heard about. But now you're always there for me. When you say forever, I believe.
Baby, you're my destiny. You and I were meant to be. With all my heart and soul,
I give my love to head and home.
and as far as I can see, you were always meant to be my destiny.
Oh, yeah.
Baby, all we need is just a little faith. 'Cause baby, I believe that love will find a way. Hey, oh yeah. Oh, baby, you're my destiny. You and I were meant to be. With all my heart and soul,
I give my love to head and home.
and as far as I can see,
From now until eternity,
you were always meant to be
my destiny.
my destiny.
And there you go. That is Daryl Ong and Wonji, the Philippines and Korea doing a duet together. A song from Jim Brickman called "My Destiny." What a great song! I'll leave that the link in the description below. All right, guys. So that means we're going into the last segment for today, and of course, every single Monday we're gonna do Korean on the go with Preston Lewis from America, who is currently in Korea. Has been studying Korean for 9 years. You guys are gonna enjoy this every Monday. You guys can sit down and learn a little bit of Korean each and every week. All right. So please welcome Preston Lewis with Korean on the go.
What's up, everyone? This is Preston Lewis back for week 2 of Korean on the Go. I'm here to help you learn Korean. So I'll be coming to you once a week with language learning tips and tricks. You might be thinking, can I really learn Korean? I'm here to tell you, yes, you can. You just need the willingness to learn, and I'm here to help you with the how. During last week's show, I introduced myself, I shared why I started learning Korean, and I spoke a little bit about my mentality and philosophy for learning a language. I believe these things are the key to be able to effectively learn a language, so I'll continue to incorporate mentality and philosophy in the lessons I share. For this week's show, I hope you're looking forward to it. I'm going to focus on a very simple but very powerful principle for learning language. It is training your brain to think in that language. Thinking in the language. Now, it may sound like something advanced, an advanced concept that only advanced learners can do, but no matter what level of Korean you're at, you can think in the language. Now, in order to describe thinking in the language, first I want us to think about what language really is. Language is really just arbitrary sounds, and they're used to convey a certain meaning. And the only reason those sounds have that meaning is because over millions of years of human evolution, we've attributed that sound to mean that thing. I'll give you an example. This might sound complicated. For a tree, so as I'm speaking English, I say tree. If you know English, you imagine a tree in your head. Whatever you think of when you think of a tree, you imagine the stump, the leaves, the branches. You think tree. So you know what those sounds mean. But if you didn't know English, tree is just a random sound that could mean anything. And in other languages, their word for tree might sound very different, completely different. In Korean, the word for tree, as many of you know, is namu. So namu, when Koreans hear namu, they imagine that stump and those branches and those leaves. The problem is when people are learning Korean, when they hear namu and they're like, what's namu mean again? And then think tree, and then there's this indirect association happening where you're first thinking of the English word. But what I want us to learn today is to start making direct connections in our brain. So when you hear the word namu, don't think tree, but think about that image of the tree that you have in your brain when you think of it in English. And point outside your window, and point at a tree and say, that is namu. I'm looking at a namu right now. And this is how you can start to make direct associations in your brain. So one of the big things is visualization, is that picture, that word. When you say that word namu in Korean, you see the picture of a tree. And you can use this for any word that you learn. So this is why it's a good trick no matter what your level of Korean is. And this works not only for objects, for words, but it also works for verbs. So if you want to say like running, 달리기, 달린다, 달려요. So when you hear 달려요, you want to think not of like, oh, that means running, and then you try to go through this indirect route, but just imagine someone running. 달려요. 저 사람이 달리고 있어요. That person is running. 저 사람이 달리고 있어요. And then you see that image of the person running, so you're having this direct connection made. And the more that you think about it like this, and the more that you learn the language like this with these direct connections, you're able to definitely memorize it more quickly, and it comes to mind more readily. And so I want to share, like, if you don't do this, well, what's the setback if you don't do this? I have spoken with many Koreans in my time in Korea, and I can tell when people didn't memorize through direct association, but when they memorized by memorizing what the word means in Korean. And how am I able to tell who these people are? Well, when these people try to speak in English, there's often long pauses, and they're often speaking really slowly. It's because they're not thinking in English, they're thinking in Korean. So they think their sentence in Korean, and then they're translating each and every Korean word into the word that they memorized in English for that Korean word. So you can see how this is a lot slower and a lot more inefficient. If you already know that word, and you think in that, and you're able to think that word in that language, then when you're thinking, then you're able to just immediately use the word. So the reason that a lot of times the word is is awkward when it's translated into English is because people are just translating the direct words from Korean into English, and so it has this awkward feel. But it's important to learn how to think in the language. So this is a concept that's good for beginners, is also good for advanced learners too. For the advanced learners, it's about phrases, not just words, but also phrases. Be able to think in that phrase. And this is what I'd like to talk about next week. So I hope this concept of thinking in the language, of direct association when you learn a word for a noun or for a verb or for an adjective, that you're able to start thinking directly in that language by directly associating it to whatever it means. Okay, so try this. Guys, I encourage you to try it. Like I said with the tree, like pointing at trees and saying that's namu, pointing at the road and saying this is kyu, this is a road, this is a kyu. I want you to start thinking like this, and as you're learning, I'm sure that you will see great results of you being able to learn more quickly and be able to remember them better and be able to use them more effectively. So this has been Preston Lewis with Korean on the Go. This is the place for you to get weekly tips and tricks on learning a language. I learned Korean like this, and you can too. So until next week, everyone, keep watering that seed.
And thank you, Preston Lewis with Korean on the Go. I hope you guys are gaining some valuable information on how to learn language better, and he's giving you good philosophy. And I hope that he's eventually going to be also teaching Korean words and phrases. But this is something that's so important, is to have the right attitude and mindset before we get into it. And I'm thankful that he's doing this for everyone here. Thank you so much, Preston, once again for your second episode of Korean on the Go, and hope you guys are really enjoying it too. Go ahead, leave a comment below for Preston too. Okay, so that is the end of the Monday Morning Star Drive. Hope you guys have an amazing and awesome day. Yes, it's the first day of the week. Do it well and do it together with the Lord. All right, this is the end. Yeah, this is the end. Everyone have a wonderful day. We'll see you guys again tomorrow on the Morning Star Drive on 117.8.
It's the Morning Star Drive 117.8. You soaring up with sky, now's the time, don't delay. I'm sitting in my ride and it's time to fly. So let's realign, just listen and fill your mind.
I'm burning with desire and the passion. Nobody can stop me when I'm like this. I got my head in the zone, you know. I'm on the Morning Star Drive, you know. I'm burning with desire and the passion. Nobody can stop me when